it's not original with me, but some authors, for example, a big topic like the Mexican Revolution, which has filled whole bookshelves of books, at different points in time, Mexican writers have tended to focus on specific regional developments, on specific kind of local events, and Americans, like Americans and Europeans, like Alan Knight and Friedrich Katz, to mention just some of them, have tried to do rather large syntheses. So I think sometimes the national Latin American literatures are, well, I just want to say they're moving in different directions. They're different rhythms. At other times, it's the other way around. That the Mexicans are trying now to reach out for a synthesis where grappling with very large questions. Was this a revolution at all? What really changed? What was the what were the ideological components? What were the social? Who were the social protagonists of the revolution? There have been those large questions, and then turning toward, as I say, very kind of specific, even presidential administrations, and specific regions. Back when I was in graduate school, which I admit was a while ago, I would say that unquestionably there was a much more pervasive influence of Marxism and historical materialism in Latin America and in the Latin American academies. They were also receiving, I think, a greater influence from Europe than were US authors. With the postmodern period, this and sort of post-colonial, that difference, I think, began to diminish. And both North American and Latin American were, the pervasive influence of Michel Foucault, who actually was translated into Spanish before he was translated into English, worked a difference in that there was more commonality. I was very much aware of one sort of school of historical approach to social history, a kind of combining social and cultural history, also came out of French influence, which was the Histoire des Mentalités, or the history of mentalities. And a whole seminar was developed around this in Mexico's Central Historical Studies Office of the INA in Mexico City. And a very good friend of mine was really a leader in that. And different innovative approaches to history came at different times to the academies in different countries. It's my experience, and I don't know if this is generalizable, but it is my experience that, partly I guess because I was working with INA, but also that the crossovers between anthropology and history were apparent in places like Mexico and even Bolivia and certainly Brazil than before they were in the United States. I think we now have a much stronger cross-disciplinary, transdisciplinary movement and very creative work in the United States in that sense as well. Another thing that is palpably different is that in Latin America, book publications tend to be collective. They're much more edited volumes with authors contributing chapters than the sort of the monograph that is still such a bedrock for career purposes in the United States. So that teamwork, in a way, is somewhat more prevalent in Latin America than it is in the United States. That's not true for all disciplines. I think sociology and anthropology have been more oriented, as the sciences, of course, to multi-authored articles as well as multi-authored books. But I think that's a way also that the two streams are beginning to, and I shouldn't say two streams, there are many streams, are beginning to coalesce. And I think in general, Latin American intellectuals in the academy as well as in the public sphere are more oriented to writing in ways that will affect policy than North American academics have been. And I really admire people of your generation who seem to be moving in that direction to, I mean, we all think that our work is relevant, and certainly my emphasis on environment is moved and inspired both by contemporary problems as well as by historical processes. But I see that I think that there's more of a coalescence, more of a fitting of the dissertation topics that are chosen with their potential value for influencing policy.